Boom, 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 ba-dum, boom, ba-da, boom, boom, boom. Oops. What is up, party people? Hello. Welcome to Gearing Up. I'm Greg. And it's just me tonight for now. I don't know. April may pop in here in a bit. I doubt it, but she's off kind of doing her own thing. But I wanted to jump on and record an episode and kind of get us back on track. In case you missed it, okay, a few things. I'm going to not say as much this time because I listened to the last one and apparently is my favorite word. So I'm going to do my best not to. I'm thinking about it. So and then I just did it again, of course. So last episode, God, that's all I'm going to think about it. Keep interrupting myself. So, the last episode was fun. It was our 30th episode, guys. It absolutely blows my mind. It's killer. And I really enjoyed featuring the accounts that I featured. And so, I'm going to continue to do those. That's not what this one's going to be. So, no accounts featured this time, but I did... Sorry. I did. God, there's again. You guys call me out on it and shout out in the comments that I need to quit. So this episode, I wanted to do a few things. I want to kind of, reset the schedule, I guess. So we didn't record on Sunday this past weekend like we normally do. It's currently Friday at like 8:20. So last Sunday was April's birthday. It felt kind of wrong asking her to sit down and do a podcast. I mean, I feel like she kind of enjoys it, even though she tries to play like she really doesn't. So we didn't record a podcast. Plus, I had just done a bonus episode. I'm trying to figure out what day that was. But we had kind of a busy weekend. That was August 9th. So Friday, I posted a bonus episode. So that's why we didn't do on Sunday, and then the week kind of got away from us. We've been busy, like always. So this time, I wanted to catch you guys up, let you know why we were kind of off schedule. Hopefully we'll be ready to record an episode on Sunday again so we can get back on track. Because I like doing Monday releases. I don't know, what do you guys think? What days do you need a podcast? Shout it out in the comments and let me know. Few things. If you guys, sorry. If you guys haven't, I've been keeping track of our iTunes chart ranking, and keep in mind there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of podcasts out there. There's millions of hours of recording, I'm sure by now, and so we are a small show. But in our category, which is hobbies, we consistently float around like the 700 mark on iTunes. Now, when I saw that at first, I was blown away. You think 700, that sounds really high, but 700 out of all the thousands of podcasts that exist, especially in that category, that's absolutely crazy. It just blows my mind. And whenever I release an episode and you guys go and download it, I can look at the chart history. And more often than not, when I release an episode, we generally pop up above 200, which, again, absolutely blows my mind. The last time I saw, we were like 143 whenever we released the last episode, or maybe it was the one before that. I don't know, but we were higher than 150, which is just, God, absolutely blows my mind. So if you haven't, go give us a rating. Go give us a real quick review. Just say the show's awesome. All you have to do is go to the show on iTunes and just hit the stars. You don't even have to type anything. Just hit the stars. Those ratings help us show up in content, and they help, again, when you're searching and stuff like that. So that was kind of the first thing I wanted to talk about. Now, the second, I wanted to talk about podcasts. I feel like, okay, first off, let me just say, I am drinking a Boss Tweed. Ooh, Boss. Ooh, it's so good. My craft brew junkies and craft beer snob friends will know all about, boss. It's the first time I've had one in quite a while, so I'm really excited. It's delicious. My buddy Franco sent them to me because he's a saint. So I wanted to talk about podcasts. I feel like I just kind of throw the podcast out and, hey guys, go listen. And I've had some folks that are like, what's a podcast? It's amazing how many people have reached out and said, hey, I've never listened to a podcast. What the heck? How do I do it? And podcasts are growing. They've been around forever, but they're really starting to grow probably in the last 2 or 3 years the most. And, even people that haven't listened to podcasts or heard podcasts have heard of like Serial. That was the one that kind of got started for everybody, was this, true crime case files kind of show. And it really, really blew up. It's actually still, let me go to Discover real quick on the app that I use. I would imagine that it's probably still at least in the top 50. Yeah, it's number 34 on trending right now on the app that I use, and it's several years old. So it's kind of the one that I think of. That one, or like the Joe Rogan Experience. Joe Rogan does super long sit downs, like 3 hours, 2 hours, 255, 330. Like he does some really long interviews with some fascinating people. Those are kind of the two really big ones that even non-podcast people kind of maybe know about. But, like podcasting, it's kind of a niche thing. And if you have some kind of hobby, there's probably a podcast about it. Perfect example, Gearing Up and, Everyday Carry. It's crazy that there are as many podcasts as there are that are just about knives and gear and stuff like that. So I thought it would be kind of fun to go through and, sorry, I'm breathing really. I was just outside in the garage working and I'm like cooling off and rambling. So I thought it would be kind of fun to go through the podcasts I listen to and kind of make some recommendations for those that I don't know. Maybe we like the same thing. Maybe you're into it. I don't know. And I'll also shout out some of like the more popular ones that are kind of, out there for everyone to listen to. So I have 8 podcasts right now that I subscribe to and listen. I actually went through before making this episode and recording it. Like I knew I was going to talk about them, so I kind of cleaned up some of the ones that I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, but never actually got around to listening to. When you work full time and you have, even when you don't have children, you have a life. It's really hard to dedicate a ton of time to just listening. Which is why podcasts are so great, because you can if you have any kind of commute, you can listen then. And, I'll throw one on every now and then when I'm running around the house doing chores or not doing chores, like April would probably say. And so they're just convenient, but I wanted to talk about the ones that I listen to and maybe you guys find some that you like. So these will be in no particular order, and I don't know, I'm a bit of a nerd, so maybe you'll like them, maybe you won't. So this is just how so the podcast app that I use, so I have an iPhone, and the podcast app that I use is called Pocket Casts, and I've used it since I had an Android phone years ago. It was a really great client. I was able to customize it. You can tweak like how fast the playback is. You can trim the silence. If it's a crappy quality or super quiet, you can boost the volume. So I really like it. It is a paid app, but you can also pay for a desktop client, which I've done. And so I can listen in my car on the way, and then when I get to work, if I want to pull it up on my computer, it syncs to the app and it pulls it right back up. They're not a sponsor or anything. They're a great podcast app, and I know they're popular, but like I said, it is a few bucks. Do you want to join in, April?
You didn't ask.
Well, no, I didn't. I didn't ask her. No, she doesn't. Anyways, so Pocket Casts is absolutely one of my favorite apps, one of my most used apps, and it's cool. They give you like little statistics. So like if I go to my profile, I have 8 podcasts. I've listened to 45 days worth of content, which I don't think that's correct. I'm sure it's more than that. And I have saved 5 days total worth of time. by speeding up and skipping and all that stuff. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, 45 days and 20 hours is what this says. I've saved a day and 16 hours by skipping, and because I listen to some shows on a higher speed, I've saved 4 days. Anyways, that's interesting. So let's just jump into the 8 shows that I listen to. Actually, to be totally correct, it's 7 because one of them is Gearing Up, and I don't always listen to our show, but I do go back and like game tape and listen to some of the episodes and kind of critique myself, make notes, stuff like that. Mostly things like how often I say So starting from the top, number 1, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. Now, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, when I used to work in Houston and I had a super long commute, like hour and a half, this was great. Mostly because Dan's episodes are ridiculously long. I'm going to scroll back. 3 hours and 7 minutes, 3 hours and 20 minutes, 3 hours and 54 minutes, 4 hours and 29 minutes, 5 hours, 5 hours and 49, 5 hours and 59, 4.5 hours, 4 hours and 5 minutes. So his episodes are super long. So they're really great if you've got a lengthy commute. But Hardcore History is Dan Carlin is just an incredible thinker, and the way that he constructs stories and tells them, they're intriguing, they're not boring. I mean, if you don't like history, definitely don't listen to this, but it's really cool how he kind of weaves this tangled web of stories and kind of pulls them all together. And I've learned a lot from listening to it. It's entertaining, and it kind of challenges me. It's definitely one that you can't just throw on in the background. You definitely need to be able to pay attention to it. So I don't listen to that one at work. I generally listen to it when I'm in the car. But I've got 2 episodes. The one from July 14th, 2018, and the most recent one from January 12th. You'll find that he does not put out episodes super often. The last one was January 12th. So it's been over 6 months. And that's because they are so ridiculously long. But I highly recommend checking it out if you have any appreciation for history whatsoever. I really think you'll like it. So definitely go give Hardcore History a subscription. Oh my god, I sound like I'm dying today. I am so sorry. And I'm like breathing like that. It's probably really annoying. The next one is That Creative Life. That it's hosted by a girl named Sarah Dietschy. She's a YouTuber. Some of you, if you get on YouTube, you might know her. But she does a lot of creative type videos, and she actually inspired me to do the Maker series. She did a docu-series called that, I think it was called That Creative Life, and that's what inspired the podcast. But she would go to creators and do like a tour of their studio and talk about their process and talk about their story. And so again, that's what kind of inspired me to start trying to talk to makers and tell their story and share that angle with the community. So she does a lot of interviews with YouTube personalities, small company CEOs, stuff like that. It's been a little bit since she posted an episode, but there's, I think, 50 or so episodes to go listen back to. She just announced the other day that she's bringing it back, so I'm all caught up on it, but highly recommend checking out That Creative Life if you want to get into the brain of creatives and CEOs and I don't mean CEOs like Fortune 500 CEOs. I mean, like, I'm trying to think. I feel like she's had the woman from Hint, the water company, on there, and like a few others. It's cool who she has on there. I think she had Gary Vee on there one time. I'm trying to pull up I'm pulling up her list because I've got them all archived. Linus Tech Tips, who is a YouTuber, huge YouTuber in the tech industry, and he was on there. Peter McKinnon, or Pete's Pirate Life, if you're an EDC fan. Peter McKinnon, huge YouTuber, photographer. His episode is really interesting. Jack Conte, the the CEO of Patreon, so that was a cool one. And I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she definitely had Gary Vee on here too, and his episode was good as well. Elle Mills, another YouTuber that it's been really cool to kind of watch grow and blow up. I don't. Oh, John Hill, another one of my. Yeah, Gary Vee. It's like the very first episode. John Hill is another YouTuber that I subscribe to. He's a professional skateboarder and YouTuber, and she did an episode with him. So, and they date. So I don't know. It's an interesting episode too. So that's the second one. The third one is called the Bobby Cast. I made a post about this on the blog forever ago, but one of my mentors, idols. I guess he's not technically a mentor because I don't know him, but someone that I really look up to and try to. I get a lot of inspiration from. That's a great way to put it. Is Bobby Bones? He is a radio host in Nashville. He was on. He's the. God, I'm trying to think of it now. He's the mentor on American Idol on ABC now. And he won Dancing with the Stars. He's in the Radio Hall of Fame. Anyways, love his work ethic, love his drive, and he's a big supporter of podcasts. So he has one called Bobby Cast, and he's at almost 200 episodes now. Or no, yeah, he has 208 episodes or so. Excuse me, and it's super interesting. He brings on like record execs and producers and artists and songwriters, and it's a really great look into that side of like the creative industry, and it's insanely cool. And he does some fun episodes too. So the Bobby Cast is another one that I absolutely love. Listen to. I'm all caught up on it, so it's one. Another podcast that I listen to is also by Bobby Bones. It's the Bobby Bones Show Replay. Unfortunately, living in the Houston area, he's not on here. I started listening to him when we lived in San Marcos. So I don't get to listen to him live, but I do listen to the podcast show Replay. So, I mean, it's just repurposed content, but I like to listen to it. And this is one that I listen to on like 1.5 times speed because it's entertaining and it's fun and I don't have to think. And yeah, I just enjoy it. By the way, I will tell you if there is a excuse me, if there's a radio personality that you like, if there's a show you like, there's probably some kind of replay content out there, so don't be afraid to go look for it. All right, so that was number 4. Number 5 is one that probably one of the longest running for me to be listening to, one that I've listened to for a long time, is Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History. So Malcolm Gladwell is a Canadian author. I don't know if he's a professor. I don't know. He's just super smart. And just the way he thinks and the way he talks and the way he approaches subjects is always super interesting to me. I'm looking at my bookshelf in the office here, and I have 2 books on the shelf from him, Blink and David and Goliath. So Blink is all about like that first gut feeling and trusting it and how it's almost always right, or it is always right. And David and Goliath is sort of it will ruin your thought process on like the underdog story. It goes back, so it's called David and Goliath because he tells the story about David and Goliath. And I the reason I read the book is I saw a YouTube video where he was talking to some people and he told this story, but he talked about how the glossed over version of David and Goliath is all that people hear about. You know, they hear about David who took this sling and, you know, popped Goliath in the head with a rock, but he kind of breaks down the complexities and the reasons why David is not exactly an underdog when it comes to Goliath. It's super interesting. Anyways, his podcast is called Revisionist History, and he kind of takes that same approach where he will pull up, you know, an old thought, or I'm going to go through his episode list right now and just shout out some of my favorites. The Lady Vanishes is amazing. That's the very first episode, so I really like that one. Episode 3, The Big Man Can't Shoot, is where he talks about NBA players and their inability to make free throws, and how uh, like shooting granny style where you kind of like swoop it up instead of overhanded is like way more accurate, and it's totally allowed, but players refuse to shoot like that because I don't know, it's embarrassing. Anyways, those are all good. I'm trying to think. Episode 2 or season 2, he talks about like golf courses in California and how they get it's a super cool deep dive into that. My absolute favorite one is season 2, episode 9. It's called McDonald's Broke My Heart, and he talks about the McDonald's French fry. And again, it'll change your perspective on a lot of things. But I've listened to all of them except for the most recent 3, I think, because it's I guess it was yesterday that it came out. Because it's Thursday, so today's Friday. So he's currently in season 3, and he's just a super intellectual guy. The beginning of season 3, he talks about like standardized testing, and as part of the show, he like goes and takes the LSAT for law school, and it's super interesting. And again, one of those things where like if you don't like history, it's probably not for you. Podcast number 6 is gearing up. This show, hello, welcome. And podcast number 7, to be fair, used to be called something else, or maybe it didn't. I watch a YouTuber named Philip DeFranco. He does like a daily news show, and he has a bunch of other stuff. He does merchandise, stuff like that too. But he used to do Let's Make Mistakes Together, I think was the podcast. And it was just sit down interview. So now he's got a new podcast out called The Conversation With, and he's 4 episodes in. So the first one is Casey Neistat from a while back. And the next one is Sean Evans, the guy that does Hot Ones on YouTube, the show where they eat hot wings. And then he talks to his wife on the 3rd episode, and now he's kind of like relaunching it. He just relaunched it, so I'm all caught up on that one as well. But A Conversation With is just Philly D and somebody, YouTubers or other people in the industry, and he just chats with them, interviews them, an hour or whatever. And then the last one, I actually haven't even listened to yet. It's the Waveform podcast with MKBHD, another YouTuber. If you can kind of pick my 2 themes for podcasts, it's YouTube and history. And those are the 2 things that I find entertaining. So Waveform with MKBHD. MKBHD, if you don't know, is a YouTuber. He does tech videos, Android and iPhone, Mac and PC and stuff like that. And he does super, super high quality videos. He just started this podcast. I have not listened to episode 1, but I love everything Marquez puts out, so I'll listen to this one as well, and I can endorse it without even listening. So those are the podcasts that are on my phone right now. Now, I say on my phone because on my computer, I do try to dabble. Let me get this out of here, sorry. I'm opening up my computer so I can explain. So there are some gear and knife related podcasts that I do listen to. I don't listen to them quite as regularly. I've found that a lot of the knife related podcasts have a tendency to be very like gear heavy and gearhead heavy and super technical, and that's just not for me. And there are people that love it. There's people that love like Mark and the Maker, and I'm trying to think of the other one. But there are some really good ones that are everyday carry specific, or I should say everyday carry related. And I'm going to just shout those out real quick. So Knife Life is good. It's entertaining. Gear Geeks Live is the one with Nick Shabazz, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I'm so sorry. Knife Nuts is another good one. Mark of the Maker. Those are the 4 that really stick out to me. And again, when they put out new episodes, I do try to go in and listen. So Knife Life put out an episode August 1st, and before that July 12th, and before that June 20th. So they're like once a month, it seems. And Gear Geeks, they put out an episode August 3rd and August 4th and haven't put one out since. That's only been a couple weeks. But before that, it was like July 9th, and before that, it was April. So again, these aren't shows that post weekly, I would say. Knife Nuts is June 6th, June 17th, July 26th. There's a month gap there. August 12th, again, another few weeks. So they're doing it. Knife Nuts does it like supposedly bi-weekly, which again, there are times where it's difficult to stick to an absolute schedule. Number one, there's not always content, but number two, life gets in the way. Mark of the Maker is interesting, and I highly recommend you check it out. They have some really cool guests. They have some really cool conversations. So it's a discussion with Tom Crine, Sean Kendrick, and Michael Birch, and hosted by Mark Steiner. I swear I don't know how to say his last name. Anyways, they are makers, and they all sit around and talk, and it's just knives, knife making, collecting, all that stuff. So highly recommend subscribing to those guys and supporting them as well. Gearing Up is I don't think we're in that same vein exactly where we're talking super in depth. I think we try to keep it pretty high level so that we're not like, diving deep into the weeds and talking about all kinds of stuff people don't know about. But nonetheless, I really think that those shows are worth checking out. But that is, as far as what I listen to, that's about it. But I did want to go through the trending real quick and just shout out a couple really awesome ones. So, excuse me. The Joe Rogan Experience, I will go and listen. If there's somebody that I really care about that he has on there, I will go and listen to that episode, or I will go to his YouTube channel and I will check out some of the highlights, because he'll do like a 15-minute chunk of the show and just put it up on YouTube because he videos all of them. I mentioned Serial earlier. Highly recommend checking out at least season 1 of Serial. It's super good. And then if you have HBO, you can go watch the case against Adnan Syed, which is the guy that season 1 is about. My Dad Wrote a Porno is, yes, it is literally exactly what it sounds like. It's this guy and his 2 friends, and this guy's dad wrote an adult novel, and they just sit around and read it, and it is hilarious. It is not for children or families, so know that going into it, but if you want something to laugh at, it's insanely funny. And again, it's number 78 on trending, and it's been out for a while, so again, it's still pretty popular. S-Town is one that is really good. I really enjoyed, and it's just 1 season. It's an easy binge. I think it's like 7 or 8 episodes. Very unique as well. So, just go. I don't like to tell people what it's about, but S-Town's great, and Convicted is good if you like true crime. I'm sure there are others. So we're at like 28 minutes. I've been rambling for this one. Do me a favor, like I said, go give us a rating, go leave a comment about how awesome we are. But on my Instagram, another great point, I recently shut down the Gearing Up Instagram. I just got tired of managing 2 accounts and trying to be original and not post the same thing on both. So I'm just integrating everything podcasting with GT Dunn. So make sure you're following GT Dunn and turn on notifications if you want to know when I post and when new episodes and stuff are out. But on the post for this episode, let me know like what podcasts you listen to. Comment what they are. I would love to hear them. I've asked before, and I've gotten some really interesting ones where I've gone and checked out an episode or 2. But let me know what you guys listen to. I would love to check it out. I will subscribe. I'll give you guys some feedback on the next episode and see if there's any that I absolutely couldn't live without. And yeah, so maybe some folks that are listening will go check the comments and they'll find some new ones, and we can just all have a bunch of good podcasts that we listen to. So I hope that sounds even remotely kind of fun. Yeah. But that's really all that I wanted to talk about. Somebody commented on Instagram, so my phone buzzed. But thank you guys for entertaining me and listening to me blabber for 30 minutes now. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to give us a rating, leave us a review, share the show with your friends, and continue to listen along and comment what podcast you listen to on our next Instagram post. I promise April will be in the next episode, and hopefully we will have something super fun and entertaining to talk about, and I won't say as much. Peace.